getaway waivers and, no, but not anything.
Would you all please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I want to welcome everybody to the Board of Supervisors meeting. This is April 4th, 2023. Do we have any changes to the tentative agenda?
I have none.
Meet with department heads and elected officials. Rodney Bleasner, maintenance.
Good morning. Favored through the storm okay Friday, just had a few down limbs, nothing major on our end. All the buildings are in good shape, so hoping for the best again today. The parking lot project's coming along. They did a pour on Monday. The rest of the bottom will be poured, obviously weather pending, be tomorrow morning. So they'll be doing that, and once they get that done, they'll be starting on the top part on Thursday. That's kind of the plan for now. A reminder that the back door is open to the public, so they can use the street parking from down the alley and use the back door if they need. After our budget hearing, we talked about getting some energy assessments on the building, and I reached out to Lion Energy, so tomorrow they got somebody coming, gonna do an energy assessment on some of the buildings. So it's kind of taking a few months, but we got them coming tomorrow as well to do that. Also getting ready for warmer weather, start mowing probably next week, so keeping plenty busy, got a lot of things to do. Thank you.
Angie Vaughn, safety.
Good morning. We've been a little busier than our like, but things are going good and we're getting through it.
I will survive. Christopher Pogomiller, Health Department.
Good morning. We're also keeping busy. We have been doing some clinics at the different schools, trying to catch some of the kids, some of the students before the school year ends for immunizations. So we're offering that and make it a little easier for families. That way we can give those right there. But that's all we've got going on.
Thank you much. Cheryl Mack, Finance.
I just have an agenda item. I guess it's mine. I'll claim it.
Natalie Steffner, Recorder.
Good morning, just business as usual, nothing new to report.
Chris Lee, Conservation.
Had a good event last week with the open house in Big Hollow. We had like 60 plus show up, so that was good. And then we fared all right through the storms. Hopefully the same will hold true. If after we get these big wins, if anybody sees any maintenance that's needed out on the trails, we don't get to everything right away, so just let us know. But otherwise, park seems to be doing okay. We've already got campers up at Big Hollow. Our camp host has moved in, so we're ready for camping season, up and rolling with that. Board meeting tomorrow. So I won't be sticking around for this whole meeting. I promised the field guys I'd help them out today, so I'll be bugging out of here fairly soon.
Jared Lassiter, Land Use.
Morning. I guess I missed it here. We had the one item taken off the agenda, the Twin Oaks.
Oh, no, we do need to take that off, sorry.
Yeah, because that one we're waiting on them to finish some the ditch work on the new road. Just the weather hasn't been cooperating, and that was the condition of the recommendation of the zoning commission. So we'll have to postpone that one. Other than that, we have a minor subdivision on the agenda today, and also a Board of Adjustment meeting this evening, 5 o'clock at the Regional Planning Office. There's a special use permit request for review. So apart from that, just keeping busy as always.
All right. Colin Gerst, IT.
Just keeping busy like always, but I don't got anything new to report.
Sheriff Kevin Glenville.
Good morning. A lot of things happened in the sheriff's office. I'd say the major news is probably the tornado that came through Minneapolis. At the time, we weren't certain it was a tornado, but we responded. The community responded. A lot of first responders came up. Just a lot of property damage, no injuries that we were aware of. Probably the most significant storm damage I've seen in a path. There's several mobile homes were moved several feet, gas lines pulled, electric lines pulled, those kind of things, and then some significant property damage to homes along that path in Minneapolis. But the community did really well. They're very helpful of their neighbors. First responders did an amazing job. The Minneapolis Fire Department and all the supporting agencies that came up there to help. I'd say the biggest hurdle was there's a lot of people that came to the area just want to get a look at things. So that kind of was a hindrance to traffic. So I guess I would urge the public to maybe stay out of the area. If you don't have a purpose other than being an onlooker, then give the community some time to get things going. There's people trying to pull in skid steers and equipment to help move trees out of roadways, get electric lines back in place, and just made a hindrance when there was traffic backed up. So that was probably one of the biggest challenges for public safety, from a public safety standpoint, but all in all, it was a good response. We're just glad that nobody was injured. Obviously, the cleanup continues up there, and we'll keep working towards that. The jail is, actually, I'll jump back. When those sirens sound, and I know Gina and DESCOM have been working over the last couple days to have as quick of a response on those storm sirens. When those sound, just take cover. If you're hearing it in your area, that means that the warning is specific to that area. So make sure you're taking the proper precautions and taking cover as needed. The jail, we're down to 83, and 4 are leaving today. So 3 of those are going to prison, and that's going to be the extent of our waiting list that are waiting to go to Oakdale. And then we have 1 of 3 that are going to the residential facility. So then we'll be down to 2 waiting on the halfway house. So that's probably the best we've seen in a while. Hopefully those meetings we've been having are paying off, or it's not. I'm hoping it's not just temporary, but we're glad to see those numbers improving. As long as we don't fill it up today, we should be back down in the 70s. So that's where we like to see things. 6 are out of county, and 2 are juveniles out of county. So those are numbers that we can deal with. Other than that, there's some legislative issues that are moving forward, and I'd just like to say that our area legislators have been very responsive to some requests. We're looking for some law changes for enticement, dissemination of obscene material, some like felons in possession of firearms, those kind of things, and we're seeing those bills move forward. So we're really happy to see that and just appreciate their work that they're doing up there.
Go ahead. Quick question, Kevin. After like Minneapolis, the tornado or something like that, does that create an opportunity for some of your clients? You know, do they look for something like that as an opportunity to break in, or how does that?
So we were obviously concerned about that, and we kept a deputy in Minneapolis for about 48 hours following that. In this situation, there was the homes were remaining occupied. There were some mobile homes that were already unoccupied, and actually, of the 6 to 8 mobile homes that were moved that several feet, 5 or 6 of those were already unoccupied. So there's nothing in there, and they weren't even a livable mobile home. So we didn't have major concerns, but a lot of times that is the issue. We are very concerned, like if we've had to evacuate due to a flood or evacuate due to a storm or people can't return, then obviously we want to make sure that their belongings are safe while they're away. So we'll set up security and do our best to keep people out that may come with bad intentions.
Thank you. Kevin, being born and raised in Minneapolis, I had a lot of people contact me. What was the hold up on notifying them that the storm was coming? If we got any?
I don't have a great answer on that. I know that there was I know that that there wasn't a notification, and
No.
I think it requires 70-mile-an-hour winds or inch and 3/4 hail for those sirens to be sounded. So DESCOM can sound those. A first responder that sees those, one of our deputies or law enforcement, firefighter, they can request that DESCOM sound those sirens. And I just don't think that it reached that level until it was already there. That's the best explanation I have. If that's not accurate, I don't have that information why it was delayed as it was.
I mean, really lucky nobody got killed up there with no warning, pre-warning or anything.
For sure. I know because of that, Gina with Emergency Management has been working to try to get those notifications out as fast as they can. They come in by, they have come in by teletype to DESCOM from the National Weather Service. They changed the way, just in the last day, they changed the way that notification's made. And she put it how the notification's made and how exactly that is. I'm not certain, but it does alert them in DESCOM that, hey, there's a notification here. Because when those things happen, imagine 2 or 3 dispatchers working in DESCOM and phones are already going off the hook because it hit Burlington first. So all of these calls are coming into DESCOM about, we have this happening, there's trees down, and they're trying to keep up with all the phone calls and dispatching Burlington officers. And then Mediapolis happened probably, I'm gonna say 5 to 10 minutes later. So I think that might have been a part of the issue. I haven't been told that there was a delay from the notification to DESCOM to the sirens being sounded, but I know they're taking steps to make sure that those sirens are sounded immediately when the notification's made from National Weather Service.
Can I say something? You might want to talk to Gina about that. She explained a little bit about how the National Weather Service is doing the alerts. So it probably wasn't on our end at all. There was some confusion. There was a situation where a town was warned and there wasn't really a need for it. So they've kind of taken some of that out of our area's hands, and the Weather Service has to, but talk to Gina about it. She'd be able to explain the details on that better.
That would be better to be warned, even if anything is coming, than not
Absolutely,
to
and
be
she,
warned
when I talked to her,
something
she wasn't happy about it, because we did the severe weather training
Yeah.
last month,
Yeah.
and she had some real concerns about some of the changes they made,
Well,
so.
Just like coming in here this morning, I was listening to the radio, and all of a sudden it just broke in. The weather sort of said severe storm warnings until 9 o'clock in Wise County, started giving all this. So,
So she would be able to explain it. I just know there was some changes that she had concerns about last month, so.
I don't think the concern was with like the radio notifications, because I think those radio notifications were coming out. I think it was the actual sirens.
Yeah, the siren, somehow how that works,
yeah, that's what, yeah.
and that wasn't on her, that came from the National Service, so you'll have to ask her.
Hopefully
to
they get it
explain it.
worked out, because
Yeah.
I think
Well,
Mediapolis
you said there were some
really
changes yesterday or in the last?
Yeah, I
meeting?
got an email yesterday.
So
just
maybe they
explaining-
realize that's probably not a good plan and
Yeah.
Explaining
hopefully.
that the notification would be more of an alert within DESCOM.
Yeah.
To what level, I don't wanna, I haven't seen it happen,
Yeah.
but I know it's more than just a teletype. So in other words, it's just not a scroll coming in. Again, those dispatchers, I can tell you that from the moment that things happened, I was on the radio and they were overwhelmed with calls. I mean, it is a lot happening, so as big of an alert that they can get that, hey, we need to sound this as possible, it's just necessary.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Didn't aim to open that can of worms up. but-
no, I understand.
While we're on the subject, I would encourage everyone, there's you can get the weather alert on your phone, and a lot of people, including me, a couple years ago, every time you get a flood, the Mississippi's gone above flood warning or below flood warning, or this up
All night
above.
long.
It, quick, all night long. Anyway, so I know a lot of people just opted out of that. And maybe it'd be a good idea if I can send out, or I can get you a link, you can send it out to everybody in the county, and then you can go through there and you can say, I want alerts for tornadoes or thunderstorms, and then don't check flood warnings.
Yeah, our phones did go off, but the big sirens did not.
Yeah, but I mean, but I know there was a lot of people, and I managed to get in and change the flood warnings, but I know people that just quit taking that, just opted out of it because they didn't want to hear the flood warnings all the
Yeah,
time.
there's a lot of choices on that,
Yeah.
you know, Amber Alerts and all
Yeah.
that, you know, so you can figure out what is important and
Yeah,
what's.
yeah.
On that subject too, just want to remind department heads, I think all the departments have weather radios. So I know in previous drills, sometimes, hey, our weather radio didn't go off. Well, they got to checking it and they had it turned all the way down, because sometimes there's weekly or monthly things that go out. They get kind of annoying, so somebody turns it down and it never gets turned back up. So make sure that your weather radios the volume is turned all the way up on them. Just a reminder, especially.
That'd be a good thing for maintenance to do on a monthly check.
Well, plugs in though.
put that on the list.
And before you ask, I will send you that same link. So if you want to put it to the,
Yeah, we don't wanna lose law.
no.
Everybody satisfied? Sarah Marie, auditor.
Just keeping busy as usual. I would like to say thanks to my staff and everyone for helping out these past few days as well, because I had an extensive amount of damage at my house as well. So Brian, Natalie, and all of them that came up and helped, and we'll eventually get there someday, get it all cleaned up, but it's a lot better than it was. So thank you guys for helping in the community and the first responders and everybody. They did great, so.
You think Brian can lift that up and get that back, that 2 or 3 inches back on the foundation?
Right. We'll see.
He'll just take his chainsaw.
Just use the chainsaw.
Yeah. Collins the chainsaw guy.
I didn't see Colin up there.
Colin, we had
His father-in-law's
trees
been waiting on it
going.
too. But look, anyways, let's keep it moving.
Everybody was wearing bibs.
Everybody's looking for Colin. But anyways, we will hear from BC Brian Carter, County Engineer.
Yeah, good morning. I was up there, I didn't come up Friday night because of the mess. I was gonna come up and help. I ended up there Saturday, and I'm guessing just from when you look at the damage around Mediapolis and in Mediapolis, I'm not sure that they could have gotten an alarm off in time for the actual event. Because when you talk to people up there, and I did quite a bit while I was working, it was like 10 seconds and done. As far as the actual full damage, not the strain line wind, because we all had that. That blew by my house. But like we have our county shop just to the southwest of Mediapolis. It didn't roll through that. We had some wind damage, but nothing like what happened in Mediapolis. And I suspect, even though everybody wants an alert, it would have been, when you're right at the beginning of something, it's unfortunately hard to time that for knowing about it. So a lot of damage. I feel bad for people, some houses they can't live in, and it sounded like the response was very good. And if you pulled into town Saturday when I did, it sounded like a chainsaw convention. The community pulled together and got that preliminary cleanup done as best as possible, but that doesn't mean, like Sarah and some other people, I know there are some other people out of their houses. So it's unfortunate, and hopefully we can get through today and not have the same issue. As far as the road department, we actually didn't have too much. We had a few trees down here and there. We dealt with those pretty handily. Surprisingly for that amount of wind, less than we probably would have expected. Other than that, last week we poured the bridge deck on 99. I let you guys know that, I guess, on a text message, but I did grab Tom and he came out and eyeballed it. I did not let him step into it while it was fresh, so he doesn't have a footprint on the bridge. I think he was tempted. He never did ask. I saw him eyeballing it. Anyway, that got done. It was a perfect day for it. It went as well as you could ask for a pour to go. The weather was great, and it's good to have that wrapped up, and the guys are back working right now. And, I know they're hoping to maybe get the rail part of it done over the next 2 weeks and possibly get out of here for the bridge crew side of it. And then another crew will come in and start doing some cleanup and form removal and stuff like that. So that's a good to be to that point on that. Bridgeport Road is coming along well. I do have a project tour on today, but probably with the weather and with the meeting today maybe taking a little bit longer, maybe we won't mess with that. But at some point I'll get you guys out so you can see Bridgeport. But they are making good headway, and sounds like maybe in a couple weeks might be some paving on that. So that's good stuff. I will mention we will send out a press release when it happens, but sometime possibly as early as next week, the north end of that project will get torn out, and when that happens, there's a gravel road intersection that we've kept open all the way to this point, and it's got a limited number of working days. It's Agency Road where it's gravel. Agency is gravel there, and then it jogs a little bit and it becomes pavement where it goes through Geo. That gravel road intersection will go closed. It's got a cap on it. It's less than 3 weeks, and it's got to be opened back up. So just to mention that, we'll do a release for that. The DOT's contractor had Mediapolis Road closed 1 day last week to set beams.
And then between weather and scheduling and everything else got postponed, so they already emailed yesterday and said they're hoping maybe Thursday and Friday this week. We will do a press release for that too. That's nothing, that's kind of beyond our control, but at some point Mediapolis Road will be closed again by the interchange. But if you drive through there now, there's bridge beams sitting on part of it. So there's progress there. And other than that, there's plenty of other stuff going on, but that's what we have. Our contractor did start on the shop to the south for our irrigator shed. So if we end up going out to Bridgeport sometime together, I'll run you by there just so you can kind of see that progress and maybe even see where it's at, in case you don't know where it's at. And then I would mention, Jim's called me, and both Tom's called me in the last week on some stuff they've had calls about. Don't hesitate to holler if you guys get somebody that calls you about ditching or a pothole or trash or anything else. Don't ever hesitate to call and get it passed on. Sometimes we're aware, sometimes we're not. Sometimes it's ours, sometimes we can do something about it, and sometimes they're just unhappy and we can't do something about it. All those situations come up, but don't ever hesitate. And then I would mention, it seems to be a bit of the theme of the spring, and I don't think me mentioning it's going to change anything, but it is illegal to take rock off of a road and put it in your driveway.
Still?
I thought the board changed.
It just happened again
Wow.
last week, and my superintendent handled it, talked to the guy and said that put it back out and don't do it again and we'll leave you alone. Kevin's been great to have a deputy go talk to people. But you, just because there's a windrow of rock, it's actual theft. I mean, your tax dollars paid for that, and it's not meant for your driveway.
Mr. Broker's sorry.
I've never, I mean, this has happened on rare occasion over the years. This is 4 or 5 times in one spring.
Oh, wow.
That this is, that, and that's probably just what we've caught. Now, if
Hard
you think
times.
you're hiding it, you're not, because when you can see a bucket with a rock missing for 100 feet, it's really obvious.
I mean, some of it's been blatantly obvious, like
It's-
digging into the road, like, you're like, holy.
Yeah, I mean, and what happens is.
And then there's fresh rock under the.
Every
Trail leading to it.
No, there is.
Fresh
It's
rock.
always there. I mean, trust me, they're not putting it on a good driveway,
We have
so
some
it's
pretty
really
good
obvious.
detectives that have been able to track this.
Cutting edge. So I guess I wanna mention that it is illegal, it is theft. We've not taken it to that point. We've handled it where primary contact, and whether it be us or the deputy, is that as long as you understand and you do your best to put what you can back out and you don't do it again, we'll leave you alone. It's strange to me that that's been the theme of the spring, but it has been, and so I wanna mention that. That's not acceptable. And normally what happens is we'll notice it, but if we don't notice it, trust me, one of your neighbors will. And they'll not be happy, so they'll let us know.
By God, if they can't get a couple buckets for their driveway, nobody is.
So anyway, thought I'd mention that because that seems to be a weird theme of the spring. Otherwise, guys are moving along, maintenance as usual, and I have obviously the construction program. We did have a tour last week, it went really well. I appreciate your guys' time. We didn't get anywhere near everywhere that's on the program, but it was good to get out and see some stuff in person. I met with the Levy and Drainage District Board this morning before this meeting. They wanted me to pass on a hello with them, talk to some projects and talk to them. It's good interaction. I don't get up there as often as I should, but we found a date and it worked out. So it was good to meet with them.
All right. Did I miss anybody? Anybody want me to call them twice like I did last week?
Not Brian.
Oh, Natalie.
Who said that so loud and disrespectful? Any correspondence, gentlemen?
I have none.
I have not.
Okay, brings us to discussion and vote. First is open up a public hearing on proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement. That agreement is the amount of $4,165,000. Can I get a motion, please?
Motion to open up public hearing?
Second.
Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Where's Cheryl Mack?
So basically, all these are doing is preparing, we have to have the 3 public hearings because of we have essential bonds and then general obligation bonds. So we have to hold the 3, and then the resolution will combine those 3 into one, and then that gives us the authority to levy the tax. So this is all just getting prepared for the budget hearing on April 18th, so we can do that levy.
Right on.
That's all it is.
Right on. Sarah Marie, have you received any written objections?
I have not.
Well, all right. How long, are we waiting for somebody, see if somebody wants to call in? Are we giving 2 minutes on those?
Probably should.
Okay. Then we're gonna give 2 minutes then. We'd love to hear from you if you wanna talk to us. You can, call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. Again, you can call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. Tom would love to hear from you. We're gonna put you on the clock now.
Brian, did you happen to see that map of the tornado that hit Mediapolis?
I don't think I probably saw the map that you're talking about, no.
I
Okay.
did, and the 2
But-
yellow dots
Yeah.
are my house and my neighbor's.
Which, it was only on the ground for, what is it, a half mile?
Yeah,
So
something like
it
that.
wasn't there very long.
You can tell where it was on the ground. Yeah, I mean, it was,
Yeah.
I mean, fortunately, the house that I saw, now I know there's at least one other that they're not living in, but the house that I saw that with the roof that landed in Sarah's backyard didn't have anybody in it because.
The roof that landed in her backyard?
Yeah, the
The
whole roof.
The entire.
The whole,
thing.
with a
It lifted
tree
the roof.
also. Yeah, a lot of windows broken.
Yep.
Yeah, you show up and help with that and you just do what you can, but the people that have the damage have the ones that are gonna have to deal with it for a while, and that sucks for them, so.
You see in middle of town where that camper is laying on its side, where that old schoolhouse was, that guy's doing all that work, pouring all that cement?
I didn't.
The camper's laying over on its side.
Huh.
Right before that, we had a truck on 34,
Oh,
a
yeah.
box truck get blown over, and that's where our deputies were when everything hit Mediapolis. But at the time.
Which that wasn't a loaded trailer though, was it?
No, it wasn't.
About to
Yeah,
say
it
that.
had a bunch of
God,
air in
man. Huh?
Had a bunch of air in it.
How much air? How much does air weigh?
Now, there was one.
Rodney?
34 that flipped though, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Rodney, have you weighed the air in the courthouse?
I haven't.
Do your job. Go ahead, Sheriff.
At the time, there was a couple people that said they thought they saw some rotation. Nobody could say that the tornado touched down. It was actually afterwards that the National Weather Service determined that it was a tornado. We had first responders that saw it. Couldn't actually say that this was a tornado. That I know our deputy lives very close. We have a deputy that lives very close to the path. He's former military, has been very close to some hurricanes and said that those winds were substantially worse than what he's experienced before. But couldn't say that it was rotation, just extremely windy and very concerning.
I would say one of the things I feel like came out of this scenario, although I can use another 2 minutes because you have 2 more minutes coming up.
Pause that, please.
This 2 minutes, these 2 minutes.
Cheryl, is there require action on each proposal and then a final proposal to combine them, right?
Right, you have to hold 3 public hearings.
No, I mean, but then we have to approve that proposal. And
Just
then
the
the last,
resolution, right?
the last resolution combines them, or do we need to approve each proposal?
I think it's just a
I think
public
it's just the
hearing.
resolution.
Just the hearing
because we
and
don't
then
have
vote on
anything
one.
in-
Okay. Motion to
If we
close
do it
public
wrong,
hearing.
we'll have to do it
Second.
again.
We've closed it. We appreciate everybody. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Okay, now we're moved to B, which is, we're gonna open up a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement number 1. Can I get a motion?
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Moved to second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes, this is regarding the loan agreement number 1 for 60 grand. Cheryl Mack, want to say anything on that?
Nope, same story.
All right, well, we're gonna wait and hear from you then. We're gonna wrap this up here in a minute, but we wanna wait and hear from you. If you have any questions or concerns, you can phone call us at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com, or you can just show up at Tom's house. He loves when people do that. Sarah Marie, did we have anybody that give you any written objections regarding number B, or letter B?
I did not.
Okay, we're gonna wait on the clock.
All right.
Again, that number's 3-753-8203 extension 4. BC, were you gonna say something?
One of the things, and Natalie just mentioned it, and she's right, one of the things that I think we both saw with this when it happened, particularly again, working at Sarah's place, where it wasn't just a tree, it was a tree mixed with construction debris, was that those two had to be separated. So the city opened up their landfill for the tree stuff, for basically stuff that I'm sure could be burned or mulched or whatever they were gonna do with it. But the construction debris, everybody was kind of in limbo. What could be done with it, where it could go, and that kind of a thing. And on a much bigger scale, to me, that's something that's out of my realm, but having something pre-planned for, or knowing ahead of time where that kind of stuff can go, and seems to me like that's something that both the county and probably more of a Gina thing to coordinate with small cities and with Burlington, with all that, but where does that stuff go? Because there was a whole lot of, I don't know what to do with this.
Can you explain what the construction debris was? Just
House
like-
materials, shingles, insulation,
Okay.
tin, siding.
The city did
Lawn
have,
furniture.
and I think by Saturday, but maybe I'm wrong, had 3 or 4
It's some roll-offs.
roll-off dump.
But then there was everybody else with trailers and trucks.
So like, we took 3 dump truck loads of just trees
trees.
to the dump that day, but we still probably have 3 or 4 loads of shingles and all that kind of stuff.
In
But
your yard?
Travis said, so they opened up a spot out there where we were dumping everything so that people can take things there, and the city's going around picking up whatever they can this week as well.
I'm just, that was, to me, that was something like,
And they just announced that yesterday.
and that's just Mediapolis.
Yeah.
But if this were to happen in the county, what would be
Right,
the
what would we
option?
do?
That's
So-
good, that's a very good point, Brian.
Because
Because that
people
was our
jump
first
on.
thing on Saturday after I talked to Alliant and everybody else. I'm like, well, where do I go from here? Because I don't know where to take everything.
Yeah.
What do we
Get it
do?
cleaned up and.
Well, I know,
Yeah.
I've got a dump trailer, if it happened at my place, I'd be getting the stuff out as soon as I could, so.
Right.
Where would you take it?
But that was just it. I was like, I can get a dump trailer here, but I'm gonna fill it up in 2 seconds, and then what am I gonna do with it?
Yeah.
So,
I just feel like that's something that we need to think about that kinda came out of that,
You're saying having the ability to get the landfill open and.
knowing that they'll take it.
because everything's so mixed together, it's
Because
supposed
it's,
to
you
be
can't, like,
separated.
we came around after the fact and asked for trees and construction material to be separated. But trying to separate, when a house demos like that, trying to separate something like shingles, cause some places are weird about taking that kind of a product. Shingles from wood, from insulation, from siding, it's all mingled
Gutters, all of
together.
that.
And I feel like there probably needs to be something to talk about. I'll quit on that 2 minutes now too.
Sarah Marie, I just want a confirmation again. Did you receive any written objections on letter B?
I had no petition that had been filed.
Okay.
Motion to close the public hearing.
Second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Okay. That brings us to our next public hearing. It's on a proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement number 2, in the amount of $200,000. Can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Cheryl Mack, anything you want to say on that?
No.
Okay, we're going to give you 2 minutes. If you have something to say, we'd love to hear from you. You can call us at 319-753-8203, extension 4. You can email us at board@dmcounty.com. Or again, you can always show up at Tom Broker's house. What's that address again? He'll give it to you. But anyways, we want to hear from you on this. If you have any problems or any questions, we don't want to zip through this. We want to be completely transparent as we possibly can. Sarah Marie, did you receive any written objections?
There has been no petition that has been filed.
Motion to close, oh wait, we
You gotta wait a minute and 23
It's-
seconds.
Incidentally, Shane, I did have somebody show up at my door a few years ago.
Tell us about it, Thomas.
Anyway, and I opened the door and there's somebody who's not particularly happy. And a deer apparently jumped over the fence into his backyard and died. And it being the county's deer, he assumed. He wanted me to come over, get the deer and dispose of it.
Well, he was in the right place.
I just want to know how he knew that it was a Des Moines County deer, and how he didn't know.
I don't, people know all sorts of.
They have
things.
4 legs.
Brian Carter, man, I'm telling you, he's
quick,
somebody
huh?
special. He's somebody special.
Well, did you?
No. I did, however, have the phone number of conservation.
All I can say is you're lucky, that's all they come to your door for is for deer. I thought he said a beer.
No, he would have taken that.
Nobody's gonna complain about a beer jumping over there.
There's an area of expertise.
So I'm curious, why did it jump the fence and die? Had it been
But
shot or?
I don't know, I apparently didn't have any sort of a conversation with it, it was just there.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Oh, that's
Yes.
not Minneapolis.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, which brings us to, I'll give you those two. Which brings us to 5D. This is Resolution 2023-17, taking additional action on proposal to enter into general obligation loan agreements, combining loan agreements, and providing for the levy of taxes to pay general obligation county purpose notes, Series 2023. And I'll just read through. This being the time and place specified for holding a public hearing and taking action on the proposal to enter into an essential purpose loan agreement as defined in the attached resolution, and a principal amount not to exceed $4,165,000. The county auditor announced that no written objections have been placed on file, whereupon the chairpersons called for written or oral objections. The second one is the agreement number 2, or agreement number 1, is an action on the proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement number 1 and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $60,000. The county auditor announced that no petition had been filed asking for the question of entering into said loan agreement be submitted to the registered voters or the county. And then the second one, this also being the time and place specified for taking action on the proposal to enter into a general purpose loan agreement number 2 and to borrow money thereunder in a principal amount not to exceed $200,000. The county auditor announced that no petition had been filed asking that the question of entering into said loan agreement be submitted to the registered voters of the county, and that the Board of Supervisors may proceed. We're proceeding, friends. So that's where we're at. This is the resolution at hand. Can I get a
Move to approve.
Second.
been moved and approved? Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. I'd like to thank all the people that worked so hard to make this happen. I want to personally thank James and Thomas for their hard work setting this up. And Thomas, for some reason, you've got your fingerprints of architect all over this, so bless your heart.
Cheryl McVeigh still work.
Well, of course, we know.
All I do is make noise.
We all know this does not get done without Cheryl Mack.
Sarah does a lot of this too.
Cheryl's had to step in quite a bit lately because I've had issues at the house, so thank you for helping.
And,
Everybody watched the basketball game last night?
Okay.
Oh, but didn't I sign?
Got an issue.
You or me? That's my initial on that.
There's one initial.
Again, if you're right,
Sorry about that, James. That's because you're being mean to me this morning. That's payback.
Mean to you.
Hey, what's it anyway? You sucker. I want to get you back for that, Jimmy. Take it away.
About 2 pounds.
So you've heard that one too?
Yeah.
All right. We're moving on to 5B is a resolution number 2023-018 and final plat for the first addition to Clay Hill subdivision.
It's a pretty simple one here, despite the name, it involves a large property on both sides of Skunk River Road that was, the original Clay Hill subdivision was related to an auction where they split the property on the portions lying north and south of Skunk River Road. So the first subdivision was the lot to the south, which was auctioned off separately, and as is commonly the case in dealing with auctions, once the north property was sold, the buyer decided to split off a portion of that lot that they're not interested in keeping. So there's it's about 75 acres total, and that they want to keep it's about 14 acres that they're going to sell off, which contains an existing house and some ag buildings, and then we'll retain the rest. And so the lot B just includes that house and some open space around it. So the only significant comment was from Secretary Roads, noting that they would need to use the existing entrances, which in this case they have a driveway entrance for the house, and there's also an access for the remainder of the property that the owner will keep just to the east of Lot B, and I think they're working on getting a secondary access from the north as well. So recommend approval of first edition of Clay Hill.
Motion to approve.
Second?
Moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes. Gentlemen, we will sign this stuff afterwards. F, we removed, which brings us to 5G accounts payable. We have accounts payable claims in the amount of $1,041,205.63 in checks and $469,598.39 in wire transfer payments for the grand total of $1,510,804.02.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yep. All right, brings me to 5H, payroll reimbursement claims in the amount of $4.50 for non-cash taxable.
Can you give us a breakdown of it?
What's that?
What'd you approve?
What'd you say? I'm gonna call your wife. I'm gonna tell her on you. Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yes. You guys are really enjoying this today, aren't you? We're having fun around here. All right, bringing us to liquor license for the Tipsy Travelers for Barn on the Ridge event, May 13th, 2023. Sheriff.
Get out of here.
Brian, are you fine with this?
I think it's great, no problems.
Motion to approve.
No, Brian loves his beer and his party.
Second?
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker?
Yes.
Jim Carrey?
Yes.
Shane McCampbell?
Yep.
I still love that name of that Tipsy Traveler.
I know, right?
That reminds me of my day about 45 years ago.
I don't know where that place is, but it's got a heck of a name. If you're traveling and you get a little tipsy, just stay in town. We've got hotels and all that stuff here.
Or at the barn.
Already born.
Okay, next we have personnel actions for conservation and for the attorney's office. First one is for Jacqueline Goodman. She's a naturalist in the Conservation Department. She has a promotion from part-time to full-time, and her previous rate was $17 per hour. Her new rate will have her at $37,664.18.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep. The second one is for Kay Hagan. Kay, the title is Receptionist Records Assistant for the County Attorney's Office. It's her probationary period, or 3-month probationary period. The end of it effective April 4th, 2023. Can I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Move to second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker.
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep.
I think she worked there once before.
She did.
Pat was there.
She's back again? She's back again. We have reports, the Veterans Affairs Monthly Report for March 2023, and the Auditor's Report of fees collected for the quarter ending 3/31/23. These will be on file in the auditor's office, and you can read them at your discretion. Next, we have 5L, minutes for regular meeting on March 28th, 2023.
Move to approve.
Second. Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Tom Broker,
Did I miss something?
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Thank you, James. What do I do without you guys? Here we go. What is M? Public hearing for 2024 IDOT Secondary Roads Budget and 5-year construction program.
That's me. That's my 5-year. I gave it to Sarah yesterday. I don't know what to tell you.
Flip the page. Yeah, go to the next one. They're all in the same one.
Okay.
See, she knows what she's doing.
Well, obviously, AV. I always feel so much safer when you're around, man.
Good, I'm glad.
Anyways. All right.
Motion to open public hearing.
Second.
Moved in second. Sarah Marie?
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
Yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yep.
This is
Green
anybody's
card.
chance to escape, but wishes
This
to
is where you
escape.
request everybody to stick around.
Oh, this is gonna be a long one.
They will be. It will be.
I'm out of here.
I'm out of
Brian, I love you, honey, but
Hey, Natalie,
Get out.
you stick around, I need to talk to you after.
Brian, thank you for
Like,
it.
you
Yeah,
want
where you
to
going,
stay
Nat?
here?
Oh, sure. No, I'm just kidding you.
We'll come find you, Natalie. We'll find you. Natalie, shut the lights off on us, man.
No.
Oh, no, it'll be another hour and a half, 2 hours.
No, it won't be an hour and a half, 2 hours,
Oh,
but.
I got a copy of what you had last week.
All right, well, I'll set the fresh one there. Don't, just set it on your desk if you.
Okay. Are we on the
Mine
approval
just
of
says
the
place of honor on my
secondary roads
desk.
budget?
Yes.
What's that?
Thank you.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
Yeah. We'll need
That's
that.
why they all left, because.
You know why they all
Or you
left.
can holler at you if you don't want to
You
say.
know.
That's all right.
All right.
You got an appointment 11:30, Brian, so.
Hey, your thing's mine, Brian's still passing stuff out, and he just shut the door.
Huh?
Yeah.
Should I leave?
Oh, I'm delayed.
Well,
Well, the door's shut.
that's when you're supposed to be here.
Yeah.
But you would not be the first member that's to walk out on one of these.
But won't be the last either.
Stand all of these two? Them, just them cover sheets like that.
While Shane's buttoning that up, I'll add a couple other random comments before we jump into the middle of this. One, I just got an email through, the Mediapolis Road closure looks to be Wednesday, Thursday, and Monday as of right now. I will warn you, they've changed it every single time that they've actually given me anything. So we'll send out a press release today on that, but that's right now what they're telling us for that, setting the beams. So, the other thing I would mention is that I sent all three of you a resolution, or at least a draft resolution that pertains to the topic of the local option sales tax bill that's out there at the Iowa legislature. I didn't hear back from any of you, so that's in your guys' court. If you want Sarah and I to work on something along those lines, we will. But I just want to mention it.
I'm in favor of that. It's essentially, Bob, tell me if I'm wrong, it's a resolution, that this board, in conjunction with a lot of other boards, objects to the removal of the local option sales tax, or in other words, the state.
The new legislation, Senate File 550, if I remember
Yeah,
right.
that would put the local option sales tax would become the property of the state.
They would get away with the local control of it, the state would levy a penny, 3/8 of the penny would then go to conservation by law, and then the rest of it, in theory, they will collect and hold on to it for our well-being, and then theoretically give it back to us. And I say theoretically because the state has, I think, backed out on 100% of anything that they've ever collected and tried to get back to us.
Preach.
That's
So-
gonna cost the road department around
So, yeah,
$500,000.
Million, closer to a million, possibly.
If we want to put that on the agenda
think it
for
should
next
go on
week,
the
I would
agenda.
be more than happy.
Oh, then I'll work with Sarah, because it needs rework. I didn't love some of the language from the other counties, so I'll work with Sarah. And you guys may see a draft of that come along to make sure you're comfortable with it and stuff, so.
For another point, Bob, if he's interested in this, currently, that pending local option sales tax, the cities have voted on it, the county has voted on it and passed it. And when we originally passed it, what was voted on was secondary roads gets 50% of that money. Rural services gets secondary roads gets 50% of the local option sales tax
That the county gets.
that the county gets. Rural services gets 20% of that. The county attorney gets 10%. The sheriff gets 10%. And economic development gets 10%. When the state takes it over, they will follow that guideline if you have a breakdown like that for a little while, and then they will assign it to whatever
Eventually their rules will apply.
their priorities of the moment, I suppose. But anyway, so they will eventually make the decision on where that money goes.
Okay.
And I had a chance to read through the current bill. I read through the old one, I haven't, and I'm sure it's changed. So I want to try to skim that, so, I just wanted to make sure I mentioned that, because if you guys are interested, we'll work on it. If you're not, it'll just lay dormant and we'll move on. We've already spoken to legislators about it, so it's not like we haven't been active. It is most certainly being pushed by the Senate. Our current representatives locally are opposed to it. I don't know where the senators sit. I've not heard Lofgren take a position, and I have not spoken to the other gentleman. So Reichman.
I think
I have not spoken to him on it, so. But, anyway. All right, so I'll lead into this. We should be able to move fairly quickly through this, but for the purpose of the public and their opportunity here, I will skim through all these projects. If Bob, I'll mention, I don't remember if you remember, but there's a color-coded map that goes with the color coding and what you have. So you can bounce year to year if you wish. If you're not colorblind, if you're colorblind, Jim will help you.
Well, you held up a black and white map, that's why I had to check.
No, there's color on it. It's just too far away. I'm gonna lead in first where credit belongs and credit deservedly goes to is Becky. This wouldn't exist without Becky. The color coding, it's all kind of, you wonder why it looks the way it looks. In general, it's a state formatted software, so there's only so much flexibility with how it looks and how it reads. But the color coding is us taking it into our own Excel and making it so that you can actually follow it and understand it. So, so thank you and credit to Becky on that. I'm gonna start on what is labeled as page 2, but it's the first page that have any projects on it. And we're just gonna roll on through this. The first page is dominated by bridges. There's 4 bridges up and down, and I think that's an important theme to emphasize. The top 2 bridges, the first one being, and stop me if I need to stop, Bob, or if you have any questions, please. So, the first one being near the Hawkeye Road intersection on Highway 99. The second one being on Upper Flint Road, just to the east of the Highway 61 intersection. These 2 are, if it ends up being available, are ARPA-funded bridges. And I want to emphasize that they are 2 very important bridges in our system. They're also 2 bridges that we do not have the funding to replace as they need done. So hopefully we can get these done to the scale that the ARPA funding will be able to cover. But as we all know, public health is the first priority, and we're still kind of waiting to see where all that goes. And I don't know where that bid is, but we'll know more as we move along. Probably the first priority, solely because of its location, is probably the one on Upper Flint. Because if you think about the county in general, if it goes posted, everything east of that can't haul certain weights of loads to the ethanol plant, or commercially, I guess, if you're trying to get to Highway 61. The Highway 99 bridge, clear up on the north end, is probably more crucial to the agricultural sector, and probably takes maybe as many trucks, because it is a direct link to Tri-Oak up in Moines County, and Meeker's Landing, well, and ADM, Meeker's Landing on Meeker's Landing Road and the river, and ADM down in Burlington. So they both serve very important purposes. Right now I show them as a ballpark of, one shows as 1.2 million, one shows as 1.1 million. I'm not gonna say I have the most confidence in the world of any price estimate these days. But, so anyway, we've talked about these before. We are progressing on them. The Upper Flint one should go a lot smoother than the one on Highway 99, because the one on Highway 9 has a core certified levee on the north end of it. And that always adds layers, so. So I mentioned those 2. The bottom 2 bridges are bridge deck removals, or new bridge decks, I guess as I would call them. So these are not full construction bridges. The first one being on North Gear Avenue. And if you remember, we have repaved all of North Gear from Flint Bottom all the way to the city limits. So that road, and this project's been in this program for a long time. We have been working this way, and I would emphasize that to anybody, that rarely when you see a project land in the actual accomplishment year, has it not been budgeted and worked on and everything for years and years and years. This thing's probably been in here for 5 or 6 years, if not longer.
North Gear?
The bridge. So, but what this will do is essentially complete that route, I guess is my point.
It'll stop the letters coming to us too from
Why didn't you do the bridge? Yeah. So that's a deck removal or deck replacement, I should say. It is, it'll be 100% funded with our federal bridge funds that we have access to. The last one on that page is the bridge, the Flint Creek Bridge on, Danville Road. It's the only bridge on Danville Road, so, and it needs a new deck also. And so that one will be 80-20, that'll be 80% federal bridge funds and 20% farm to market because of the route that it's on. That's the allowable funding to be used on it. And it's possible that if we can make good enough headway, maybe all of these get done in 2024. The one I'm just not sure enough to say about is probably the one on Highway 99. I believe that we can get enough stuff done and beat any ARPA deadlines, because I think it's gotta be obligated by the end of 24 sometime. There's a date out there. And I think we can hit that, but with that core levy on one end of it, I don't know that it'll be ready to build in 24. It may be let sometime in 24 and build in 25. It's just gonna depend on that permitting process.
It has to be, those funds have to be expended by the end of 26.
Yes, yeah, which won't,
Yeah.
the bid, the obligation will be a bigger challenge than the payout.
That has to be by,
The end of 24 sometime. There's a deadline in there towards the end of 24. So, and we don't plan on being anywhere near that, but we're working with the Corps on another project, and this project will be right behind it. So, that's the first page. Anybody have any questions? It's a lot of money on bridges, and they all desperately need done. They're all in very high profile and very important locations.
Well, I can just say I'm just glad we're using a lot of ARPA money on this, because it's saving the taxpayers a lot of dollars.
say that again, James. Well said.
It could also be saving them a posted bridge on a paved road.
Yeah.
These bridges are in that vicinity of age and condition, which is great. So, page 3, top of page 3, golf course road PCC paving. I've been talking about this for a while. We have used golf course road as a detour route many a time. We will use it again this summer, more or less. It's not a detour route, but that's what it's gonna get used as during a lot of that closure. On 99, I think Bob fell off his chair. No, okay. I will note, you're probably not gonna notice this, but this jump from a locally funded project to a farm to market funded project in this, I wasn't sure about our local funds. I wasn't sure if we were gonna be able to afford it. This is a great example of the impact of inflation on our construction prices. Bridgeport Road, which should have been realistically, probably a $600,000 to $800,000 job, was a $1.4, I wanna say, $1 million job. That's happened on a couple other things, and so I got a little skittish on whether we could afford it. We need to do it, and it is a farm to market road, so I bumped it into farm to market for that. So that adds some layers, adds some part of the process, but and it's not a big project, but that hill is just fallen behind. It's taken a lot of traffic, extra traffic in the last couple of years, and so we're gonna come in. So this will be, it will not be, man, I like it, Colin, nice work.
Good,
Wow.
that's pretty. Hey, what do you average on
Nice
farm
work.
to market per year?
That target has moved here in the last year or so, but I wanna say roughly $1 million a year is not the work that we do every year, it's about the money that comes into that account.
Right.
And there's rules with that where it's not truly like a checkbook. None of our funding is that we have an account. So you can save it up to a certain number of years and you can spend it into the whole a certain number of years.
Okay.
And we use that to our advantage, depending. It might be a little over that $1 million now. I think that might have gone up. But that's the fund we will use for that. So, and we will just do the hill. So there's a subdivision there. You can see right at the top of the hill where that loop goes back in there. More or less from that subdivision down to Highway 99. It's not a biggie, but it needs done. So that'll probably be, our target would be for that to be done next year. So kind of in the lull year between this year when we're gonna work on 99 and have it closed, And 2025, which I will get to in here when we're gonna be back on 99 working again, kind of in between there, we'll probably work on this hill. Next project is a asphalt job. HMA is asphalt on Seven Ponds Road. Followed immediately by a low dollar, kind of a lower dollar, project on Tama Road. So we had every intention of letting an asphalt job on Seven Ponds Road this winter for this summer's construction. And then I got jumpy, because I'm not exactly sure how Tama Road will handle being a detour route for Highway 99 traffic. Now, I hate to say that, because I don't have another choice. It's not like I can do something different. But what we're gonna do is, if Tama Road holds itself together, we probably won't do much of anything to Tama Road. Maybe we do some patching, maybe we need to do something. But we're gonna hold off on the Seven Ponds project until we get done with this detour and see what Tama Road does. If Tama Road causes some significant issues, that money plus some other money, hopefully, we'll just have to deflect to Tama Road and we'll just have to put Seven Ponds on the shelf. So it's.
Was Seven Ponds, was that the road that that you were looking at doing some different type of?
I had talked about it, I backed off that in that spot, I decided that that wasn't the proper location for that, but yes, at one time I was talking about trying a different process. The process I was talking to you about on our tour on the old chunks of Highway 61, where I said I'd like to try that, I was thinking about that on Seven Ponds Road, but because of some of the requirements with that kind of a process on a dead-end road, I didn't think it would be a real smart move for that attempt. So in this case, when we do Seven Ponds, whenever that is, it'll just be a lightweight mill and fill. Unfortunately,
I have to drive down it again, it's been a while, but last time I was down there, I mean, it definitely needs some work, but I don't remember it,
well,
I don't remember beating the crap out of my car.
It's probably our, behind Highway 34 and 99 is probably our worst condition asphalt road, but there's some reasons for that we can't really change. There's no shoulders. They basically came along, it's a great example of a gravel road where they didn't do any additional work, they probably just started paving. There's no shoulders, it's not that wide,
Right.
and it's pretty deep ditches, so that there's some edges where it tries to fall away, so you don't have a lot of good side support. And there's just a lot of vehicular traffic back there, and it is what it is. In town, it would probably be a seal coat.
And how
Obviously,
many-
it's not a seal
How
coat.
many houses are living back there now?
A lot. I don't know the exact number. I really don't.
There's 10 or 12 back there, isn't there?
Oh, there's 100 probably. If you look at all of the development back there, there's probably a dozen different subdivisions when you go down Seven Ponds Road and.
All right, just get way more
Well,
traffic than
that's
what I
all.
thought then, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, you got that first subdivision off the gravel road, then you get all the way back into the actual Seven Ponds area, and you got all those houses, and it takes a fair amount of traffic. Maybe 100's overstated, but it's a fair amount.
Jim's still driving those roads, oh, no, Jim's on the gravel roads, my bad.
So all of this, Brian, is part of 198th?
And-
No,
See the
no,
two-
it's
two
just the
roads
main
that
route
go
that winds
sideways,
through
all
there.
that.
That's,
You remember those roads, don't you?
oh. This is not 198th. Seven Ponds is just this, and it keeps on.
I just Googled
I got it. Actually, this is the end. I think you're zoomed out far enough. And then this is private back into where the landowners own. We only have the paved portion. It turns to gravel. So this is not a county road, and this is not a county road. The pavement is right there.
That road going north up there, off of it there,
There?
yeah.
Yep.
That used to be, I can remember when that was all dirt, takes you back to Yellow Springs.
Yep.
Nice place to
Don't
look.
say it, Tom. Just let him
Damn
bust
party.
himself out.
Yeah.
Don't even say anything, Tom.
I know it was a beautiful area, Jim.
Beautiful.
So, I guess what I'm pointing out is that there's two different roads in here, and it's gonna depend on how one holds up. But if we have big issues on Tama Road, I'm gonna have to figure out something to do on it, and Seven Ponds is gonna be what it is for a little while. So, mention that. The bottom project there, Middletown, that's gonna kinda be a see what we have money for to be honest with you. If we have the money, we're gonna try to go in and do some intakes and stuff, just to get some of that brushed up ahead of an asphalt job eventually. And if some of these other projects we're talking about go higher than we hope and higher than we're planning, it's probably one of those projects where it's a lower priority and it probably gets bumped. I don't really love to plan that way, but these days, if you don't have a couple hundred sitting around just in case something goes over, then you're probably gonna have an unpleasant surprise. So I'm not gonna get into it real far, other than if we have some money, we'll try to do some stuff in Middletown on the highway, obviously. We'll just see how things go.
Well, the only bad place there that would be where they're pulling out of Casey's on the West Drive of Casey's. Until you turn on Texas Avenue, that's really bad.
That's bad there. The coming to town when you, right after the stop sign,
Yeah.
that's pretty rough through there. But this would be, now this would not be the asphalt as much as this would be trying, like if you go in Old 30, the DOT has never given us anything new. This was a DOT road.
Yep.
They more or less did it with any entity. If we're gonna build a 4-lane, you have to take the old stuff. That's how this went. It was done right before I got here. The agreement was signed before I got here. So just the intakes, for instance, in the curb, they're so old that they're not the kind that have a manhole where you can get in and deal with something if there's a problem. They are, that literally the only opening into the intakes is the hole the water goes in. That's it. So the thing that really needs done is those intakes need pulled out, and we need to put new style intakes in that you have a lid that you can get into and deal with stuff if need be. And some of them they don't quite sit right anymore and all that sort of stuff, and that's just one thing. Now, if we had bottomless dollars, we'd probably come in and put all new curb and gutter all the way through Middletown with the intakes. And when I first thought about this project 2 or 3 years ago, that's what I had hoped and planned to do. But that's before everything doubled in price, and clearly you have to have priorities, and we'll just see, time will tell. So, so that's what's going on with that. On to page 4, top of that page, Highway 61 approaches. Just a reminder that eventually we'll have a bill coming due for the approach work. We're aware of it, we know it. It's not going to be 300,000. It's gonna be 250, it's gonna be 350, it's gonna be somewhere in there. Because they were supposed to invoice 2 different things separately, my guess is we're gonna get them all at the same time. We'll pay it when we get it. We knew it was coming. It's just in here as a placeholder, because we owe the money. You guys, I will remind you that you guys will be owing $100,000 at some point. I would expect sometime in the latter half of this year, they'll finally remember to invoice us, since that topic came up a few months ago. I think you're budgeted for it and you're ready for it, but I do want to mention that. Next one down, the next 2 down, 160th Street, which is J13, which is a little bridge down on a dead end road in the bottoms. We've talked about that multiple years in a row. The levy district was glad to hear that we actually, so we did some steel bids here about 3 months ago. That was one of the bridges that steel was for, was this bridge. So we bid the steel, it's sitting in the yard. This will be a beam and slab. So the history on this, if you remember, there was a bridge. Bridge went posted on a dead end road, which clearly is a bad deal, in the bottoms especially. So I went to the levy district and said, what do you guys think? You know, because I communicate with them on a regular basis in places like that. They said, you know, you could probably get away with tank cars here. So we left the old bridge, abutments in, the old bridge is gone. We put in tank cars. You know where it's at, Colin?
I thought I had it, but I got a big delay when I scrolled.
Oh, you're fine. We did a runaround, a permanent road construction runaround with 3 tank cars in it. And then, here a few years back, they came back to us, the Levy and Drainage District came back and said, hey, we're having a lot of trouble with these tank cars plugging up. Would you consider putting a bridge back in? I came to the board, said, you know, if they had asked us before, we would have done a bridge then, which would have been cheaper at that time. So I don't have a major issue with it. They agreed that if I don't have any use for the tank cars, that they would buy the tank cars back from us. Now, I'll wait till we get to this point. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. We'll see where we go from there. But anyway, that's, yeah, right there. Nice job, Colin. That's where it's at. And it'll be a 54-foot beam and slab bridge. So what it'll be is we will eventually bid it out. A contractor will come in and do the abutments and the caps. And then we will do the bridge deck and the site shaping and take the runaround out. And I believe that the levee district will come help us take the runaround out also. They'll have to help us to some extent because of my guess is we'll have to bring a crane in. We had to have a crane to set those tank cars, so my guess is we'll have to have a crane to lift them out. That it won't be an enjoyable process getting those tank cars out of that channel after they've sat in there for 5 years or whatever it's been.
Well, they've been longer than that. That's the second year I was on the board, so.
Been that long?
It's been
Okay.
9-10 years ago.
They won't come out very
No.
fun, but they will come out,
That's
so.
where we had that dog problem back there.
Yeah. So anyway, I'll mention that. So the dollar amount's not that high because I don't know what it's gonna, we haven't bid a beam and slab with the contractor for quite a while, so I don't know what it's gonna run me. But that's how we'll do that, kind of a joint project where we do some of it, they do some of it, and end up with a bridge. And then the next one under that is another small bridge on 190th Avenue, which is over, give you an idea, if you go Goatman Road, west of
Road?
Goatman, 140th, west of Beaverdale Road, and then you go north on the gravel road at 190th, it's up there, is where this is bridge. It's a small bridge, it's like 20, I think the bridge itself is about 23, 24 foot long. We did a whole bunch of digging, on research and stuff. We thought we were gonna have to put a whole new bridge in, and then we finally found some plans that showed us what the substructure was all like, cause it's an old bridge. And once we found that, it gave us a ton of confidence that the existing abutments and the footings underneath are in pretty good, they're well built and very sturdy, I guess is what I will say. So to save some money, what we're gonna do is our crew's gonna do this whole thing. We're going to pull the deck off, the old deck off. We're gonna have to do a big retrofit on the existing abutments and the existing back walls. And then we're gonna set new beams across it and put a beam and slab bridge on top of the old abutments. Won't be quite as wide as our brand new beam and slabs, but it will be wider than what is there. And I can tell you the locals would really like to see this done because it's been posted for a while. It's one of our only posted bridges under 40 tons. And so it'll be a good project and it will be a challenge for my crew. I think they look forward to it. I think they enjoy this kind of a challenge, but there'll be some unforeseen stuff. There's a lot of kind of custom forming to be done, especially for the abutment work because there's some cracking and some spalling. We need to encase that in concrete to make it in good shape to justify the investment in a new deck. So I will probably, when the guys are working on this, try to get you guys out there a couple times because this is, to watch them work on this is a great way to give them credit to the amount of work they do in rough areas because this will be a tough one. They'll do it. It won't be a problem. It'll be a good project. So anyway, I want to get that bridge replaced because in the long haul we have a couple bridges on Beaverdale Road that we'd like to go after, and this road will kind of serve as a local get around or not so much a detour, but at least a local bypass. And having a posted bridge on that would just simply eliminate it at least for the agricultural part of it. So, so that's what that is. We did not get out to that one this time around, so sometime I'll get you out there and show it to you. Like I said, I'm hoping maybe this is the one we're working on this summer. My guess is 1/60th, the one I was talking about just before. It's probably realistically next winter or next year. Just depending on timing, but that's my guess. But this one, since we're doing with our own crew, I could see us possibly trying to get into it this summer. But we have the steel in the yard now for that too. Bottom of the page, Tamer Road Bridge. This is probably after, at some point going forward, I talked to you guys actually, if you remember last summer when we had the crew come in that pumped the foam into the soil to raise the approaches on the one on 99. I called you and said, hey, I'm gonna go over my budget, I just wanna make you aware. Well, they ran out of product and their schedule wouldn't allow them to stay, so they had to take off. I'd like to bring them back in and do the same thing on this other bridge on Tamer Road, but I'm kind of waiting on a couple factors and I want to check a couple things out. So right now it's in here. We'll see what I find out on some of the other factors, but possibly we'll bring them in and work on that bridge. So it's same process where they would come in, they'd basically more or less stabilize behind the abutments to take care of some settlement, possibly lift the approach just a little bit, but the stability and plugging up the C poles and stuff is probably the bigger win in that equation. So that's what that is. Page 5, intersection lighting. I don't think I have to say much about that. You guys are aware of what we're doing on the highway, up and down. So we're still working on that kind of stuff. Culvert liners, we try to get, in fact, I'm waiting for an estimate for a specific site right now, for having that crew come in and do actually a bottom in a culvert, 2 culverts actually. So there's always work like that. They came in and did about $50,000 or $60,000 work last summer for us. Every bit of it is what they do and what it costs to have them do it compared to what it would be to replace the items that we have them fix is priceless. It saves a lot when you find the right situation where it works. So,
How much did it say, Brian?
Huh?
A lot.
It's a lot. Every site's a little bit different, but I don't think, I was gonna say 2 to 1, but I don't know if I'm doing it justice with that. It's a good improvement where we have them come do the work. And then rock surfacing, that's our pinching. You're gonna see it as a theme. That's roughly 4 to 5 miles of rock that we'll bring in for a pinching operation. The bottom is PCC patching. That's probably one that gets shoved to the wayside depending on where we need the money somewhere else, but it's in there just in case. And then on page 6 is crack sealing, same thing. If we have the money, we'll go do some, and if we don't because of other projects, we'll yank that money and use it somewhere else. And then the very tail end is right of way, and that's just kind of a catch-all in case we have a little bit of right of way to buy here or there, which tends to sneak up on us. The very last page of page 6, those I want to mention. I mentioned asphalt projects, and these are really probably between the bridges I mentioned right off the bat. These 2 asphalt projects are probably the second crown jewel of the overall program in 2025, which seems like a long ways away, but it's not. Highway 99, the remaining 11 miles, which is basically the south 11 miles, we have some funding lined up to go do that as kind of a mill and fill asphalt job. It's a pretty basic job, but anytime you do 11 miles of asphalt, it's extremely expensive. So, so I guess I want to note that's coming along. That won't be a full closure. That'll be 1 lane, and it'll irritate people, but they'll be able to get through it. They're just going to sit in a flagger line and stuff like that when we do it.
When's the bridge on 99? That's gonna be a full closure,
Yes,
from,
the far north one.
Yeah. So where will they be taking?
That's
When
good.
that bridge is done, there's not gonna be nothing.
They'll be
there's
able
not
to
gonna
take the Y road up there, won't they?
Well,
not the Y Camp Road, they'll be able, what I'm trying to say, up through.
The Hawkeye, you're talking?
Yeah, through Elder Junction, that, the people coming from up north.
Yeah, I mean, the
Yeah.
people, when we do the far north bridge on 99, that will be a full closure, and there'll be a detour set up, probably in the bottoms, on gravel roads for that situation. There's really not another option. We can run a paved one up the K Road and up to Highway 61, but
That
if you
K Road,
think,
that's what I'm
if
saying.
you think anybody's gonna go that way, if they know what they're doing, they're not.
I've had some people asking me about that again.
Thank you, Dan.
Closure?
The bridge
I
itself will
said,
be a full
well, I
closure.
said, yeah, I said, but there'll be a way to, I said, I can't remember where the detour's gonna be, but I said, you'll still be able to.
Yeah, the
That's
far
what it
north
is.
one. The asphalt job will not be a full closure.
Right on.
It'll be one lane.
Right on.
So, a moving closure, basically. So. You don't wanna hang around?
Where you going, Robert?
We're not done.
Editor yelling at me and
You can tell that editor that
2025 is too far in the future.
Carter said.
Yeah, you tell him what Carter said.
See ya.
Thanks.
Hope you feel better. And then the last asphalt job on that road, on that page is Highway 34, Old Highway 34. We talked about this on the tour, and it needs to be done, but I will be right up front and say that right now, that's $8.5 million on paper. Roughly about $6.5 million, or about 6.8 million or something like that is coming out of farm to market. The rest, a little bit of federal funds on Highway 99. If we run short on money, if these come in high, Highway 34 is what will take the brunt of that shortening. Highway 99 will get done. 34 we will skinny up if we have to. So we'll just see where everything's at here in another year and a half on pricing. Page 7. I'm just gonna say the roads and give you a quick summary, now that we've really whittled everybody down. South Prairie Grove, Dodgeville Road, and Summer Street. All three are asphalt roads. All three of those are in here as local projects. Odds of us being able to afford all three of those in that year are slim to none. They're just in here just in case because it's 2 years away. And the reason they're in here is because we're getting ready to bid possibly $8 million of asphalt work. So why would you not try to take advantage of that and maybe do another small local road here and there? So if we do any one of those three and not the others, it would probably be South Prairie, because we've not done anything on South Prairie since I've been here.
You're fine.
So, and that's the road that's a little stub asphalt that runs out to the racetrack, just so you have an idea where that's at. And then, of course, I mentioned Dodgeville and Summer. Those would just be overlays, but there's no way in the world we'll be able to afford all three of those. So we'll just see what comes along, and a couple of those, 1 or 2 of those will probably get shuffled out to the 5th year to just hover out there financially, once we know better. Bottom shows some concrete patching, nothing new, just depending on locations, we can always use concrete patching. Last couple 3 there in 2025, culvert liners, rock surfacing and right away. No new rocket science to any of that. Bottom of page 8, early page 9, I'm gonna hit both these at the same time. Both of them are on Meeker's Landing Road project. One's involving a culvert replacement, the other has to do with possibly trying to do some grinding to smooth that road up a little bit. I do eventually hope to do this project. I don't think I would sit here and tell you and guarantee you that it will still be sitting in 2026 as a project. That's $500,000. The odds that something pops up of higher priority between now and then for 500,000 are probably fairly high. Maybe not. Maybe we can just go do it.
How long have they been crying about Meeker's Landing?
Ooh, well,
You only
Well, I
got,
guess I shouldn't put it that way, but
a
how
long while. Bringing the board into it 2 or 3 years, but to me and to the levy district, gosh, it's probably 10 plus, or if not longer. Carl's had that on his sites for a long time. And I stand by everything I've told him. I don't have a problem with the project, but it's gotta be a priority to spend the money.
Right on, right on.
I said that on site, I said it to him, and I stand by it. So anytime you can upgrade a culvert under a paved road, I think that's a good thing, and it is a corrugated pipe, but we did look at the pipe. The pipe is in good shape. And so for it to be a benefit to the tax dollars, to the taxpayers, it needs to be, it needs to fit in the program. So it's in here. I just want to tell you that we'll see, I guess is what I'll say. 3 years away, it's at these, in current rates and current situations, there's no reason for me to crystal ball and tell you whether it's gonna happen or not for sure at that time, but want to mention it. I don't even know if that cost estimate's accurate because I haven't even sat down and done a true cost estimate. But that tells you how much time I've put into that. So we've done a site survey, we ran a camera through the culvert to a certain extent to look at the condition, and that's all we've done at this point. The rest of that, you can see on page 9, there's some little bit bigger numbers and some crack sealing and some concrete patching. I eventually need to cut loose of a high dollar crack sealing project. I mean, when I say high dollar, eventually I need to really piece together probably 600 or 700 grand and go after some crack sealing on some of our asphalt roads. I don't know when that'll be. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. One of these years, it'll be that 2026 where we're kind of in a lull in construction and I piece some local dollars together and we just go big and we go do some crack sealing instead of anything else. We'll just see. I just want to mention it. You can peck away at crack sealing. You can do 40 grand here. Well, we did Glenmark last fall, and it needed done. And that was probably, I want to say that was 30 grand off the top of my head. You can do that, but your economics and your savings come when you piece together miles and miles and miles of it. We just haven't been in a position financially where we could piece together on that. That just wasn't a big enough priority to do that.
Well, now, you mentioned that, I think Tom remembers, you do. When they sprayed that stuff, they had that left over on the Danville Road.
Oh, on Danville Road, yep.
From,
We've done it twice out there. Yep.
Quite, how does that, do you think that's done any good? I think it has, myself, when I travel it, but I don't know, but I'm asking you as an engineer.
I'm gonna tell you, as I drive that road, do I visually see a big difference between the north 2/3 and the south 1/3? Because roughly that's what we've done. It's about 9 miles long.
Yeah.
We did about 3 miles, and then we came along and did another 3 miles, and we haven't done the south 3 miles. Very roughly, that's what we did.
Yeah.
I guess what I'm gonna tell you is I'm not sold. Do I think it hurts it? No. Let me first say, I don't think it hurts it. Do I think it's worth the money? I don't think I'm sold on that yet. And I've told the guy that peddles that product. It's not so much as, right now, it's not so much as do I think it's a benefit or not, because I don't think it's a bad thing on asphalt to rejuvenate that surface. I mean, that is your wearing surface in asphalt, and it is an oil-based product, and oil, that surface on asphalt tends to oxidate. It ages and stuff like that. So I don't think it's a bad thing, but to date, since we've done that last one, which has been a while, I just haven't had the 40 grand or 50 grand or 60 grand, whatever it would cost to squeeze out to go after it again. It's always going towards something else.
Yeah. But it's more of a liquid when they put it down where it'll really seep down in them cracks.
It's a liquid that in theory kind of sort of saturates into the surface of it. It's not meant to crack seal.
No, I know that.
Yeah, it's meant to, in fact, we crack sealed the road before we did we intentionally crack sealed the road, which is truly like getting material into the cracks, blowing them out and getting material into the cracks. And then we came along and did that product.
It's more of a,
A crack sealing is a far higher value than that product for an asphalt road. Because crack sealing, you're actively keeping moisture out of an opening in the pavement. So that to me is compared, if you had to rate one to the other, they wouldn't even be in the same conversation. So I don't know if I could tell you I'm sold on it or not, I guess. I think it has a place, but it has a place when we have extra money, and we haven't been a big extra money place for a while. I mean, I think what we spent our money on has been it's been far better for the system. A lot of new concrete. You guys have seen it all. Flint Bottom, Upper Flint, North Gear, Bridgeport. And that's what I've told the salesman who comes along. I'm like, our priority right now is our paved roads, our concretes, and that kind of stuff. So he still comes in, we talk, but I haven't done it again for a while, and we'll see.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
yeah.
These might be.
Yeah, and I guess on the rest of 2026, which strings into page 10, same old, rock, culvert liners and right-of-way. I'll jump into page 10, tail into page 10. We did not get out to these bridges, sometime we will. I mentioned that we had a couple bridges on Beaverdale Road. The northern two bridges, which are on the gravel portion of Beaverdale Road, are posted now. Now, full disclosure, the bridges aren't actually in that horrible a shape. This is another example of about 5 years ago, if not longer, the state came along and legislatively opened up the county and the local systems to 7-axle dump trucks, which they allow to go up to, I don't remember what the weight is, but it's a lot, 90-some thousand or something like that.
34,000, isn't it?
Yeah. So we had to go along and re-rate all of our bridges for that particular truck. And at that time, I want to say we had 5 or 6 bridges. Right now, I don't think that's the case anymore, but these are 2 of the bridges that had to be posted, not because of loaded semis, not because of the agricultural movement, because of the dump truck that we had to start allowing on the system, or accounting for on the system. So it kind of sucks to have a couple bridges in the program that probably are still, I mean, they're nowhere near the new part of their life. I mean, keep in mind, they're on the back half of their life, but that are posted because of something that happened legislatively rather than something that happened structurally. Anyway, these are the 2 bridges on Beaverdale Road. The thing about Beaverdale Road is that it is kind of the center cut gravel road that feeds to the ethanol plant in the middle of our county. Now, most agriculture guys will tell you that if at all possible, they'd rather run down 61 or they'd rather run down Danville Road because it's paved to get to the ethanol plant. And they do, but it is kind of the paved funnel down, or the gravel turning into pavement funnel down to the ethanol plant. So having those bridges posted is not ideal. I've not had complaints from guys. My suspicion is because they're still using it, whether they're posted or not. And again, I've already told you, it's not posted because of the trucks, of the ag trucks running heavy loads. It's posted because of a tandem. So I'm not real worried about that. My bigger concern probably of people using it is Four Seasons shop is located on the south end of that, and I see those trucks running from the quarry up and down that road all the time. Now, are they 7 axles? I've never bothered to stop and look. I'm not enforcement, so I can't do anything about it. But I guess what I want to mention of those 2 bridges is that they are posted and they are on our radar. Can we afford them in 27? That's kind of a theme, as you've heard. I don't know if we can or not, but once you have a posted bridge on your system, particularly a high volume road like Beaverdale, even for a gravel road, it's something I pay attention to. So they are on my radar for getting those 2 bridges replaced. And that road earlier, I mentioned that 190th, that comes into Beaverdale right in between those 2 bridges. So clearly if one's closed or the other's closed, somebody may use that to cut around. So getting rid of that posted bridge would be a big deal. So anyway, that's it for page 10. Page 11, we actually ran on a couple of these, the old Highway 61 segments. We don't own them yet, but we drove these when we were out on the tour. So that I told you I was gonna have something in the program, just kind of generic. There you go. There it is, kind of generic. 4 years out, so I'm not gonna spend any time on it. I've already talked a little bit about it. Highway 61 approaches right below that. We've committed along the way as the DOT keeps working north to have approaches paved as they work north. So that's kind of a line item in there more as a reminder than something that I don't know if we will actually have an expense in 2027. It's just something that we're gonna do when it comes along. Let's see, bottom one, Jimtown Road, Creek Bank stabilization. So I want to get you through this project and the other one we did, because I'm not sure I've had you out to 165th where we did the riprap. So possibly when I get you out to Bridgeport to show you that, maybe we'll have an opportunity to loop through and show you that riprap. But that riprap job's done. This would be something very similar. Up on Jimtown Road. Jim, I don't think your bus route goes all the way that far north on Jimtown Road.
I go to, up to 170th.
And then you go.
And where you did put a bunch of riprap on that curve.
Yeah, this is on the.
Then if you go on up there a ways, no, I don't go past that.
If you keep on going, you go around a long sweeping curve where there's a creek bank.
Yeah. That's up where Delbert Howell is, up there by that.
Yeah. Colin,
What's that?
I'm gonna hijack your screen. Can you go? That will lead. Let's see that one. Jimtown Road.
Jimtown Road's west of Danville.
Go north, please.
There's Jim.
Keep going.
That doesn't very fast.
That's all right.
Here's the Brian Carter Cemetery.
I could draw a picture. Okay, hold on. You two went really north there. Now you're out of the county.
Yeah, like still the delays.
That's all right. You're fine.
That's right, it is.
Ooh, now we're back. Now we gotta go north again.
Meet in the middle.
Yep, somewhere in between. You want me to talk to IT?
Yeah.
Those guys are probably taking a nap. We'll have to catch them later. Oh, stop.
Right.
Down just a little bit. Well, a little bit more, sorry. Oh. So, Town Road right here. Which, quality-wise, doesn't show you much, but this creek, when it gets all the way down to here, because of the tree cover, you can't see it. There's a real hard bend coming right at the road where the creek actually comes around and actually does this to get under the bridge.
Just north of that, where you're talking about, because see where you go on 165th there? Because the tower, that tower sits right there on that curve before you.
Don't hurt yourself.
Well, it's slid close to get it now.
What are you
Now I'm
saying?
on the track.
Well, this is this is.
Yeah, where you come up here, this is that first curve where that hog confinement is, isn't it?
Is this the hog confinement you're talking about?
Yeah. Right here is where you did riprap.
We did some.
You did some there, and then you come up here, and then this 170s comes back
That
here.
comes
You're
across.
talking about up in here someplace.
Yes, this is the bridge I'm talking about.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
thought you was talking down here.
Yep. Nope, that's
Because
what I thought I'd show you.
I turned here, and that's the road that I said, you need to open that up so I can get through there, and you said, Jim, look at it, you signed to close it on the signature.
So that's a creek, a riprap creek job. I'll swing you through there sometime. If it accelerates and gets worse, we'll probably need to do it sooner than later, but for now, it's just on our radar, I guess. Thanks, Colin.
But they did an excellent job on that other one just before you get to County Line Road.
Yeah, credit to the guys.
Uh-huh.
Yes, credit to the guys, but yeah.
They did, because
That was a slide that we had to move
Yeah.
in. We worked with the farmer and had to put a bunch
Yeah.
of broken concrete in to stabilize the
Yeah.
toe.
that was awesome.
Yeah, rest of page 11, patching, you jump on to page 12, culvert liners, crack sealing, rock surfacing, and right of way. I'm not gonna dwell on any of that stuff, so let's just go on to page 13. Okay, this is my sales pitch I almost look at the last year as second in importance to the first year. And I say that because when Jim, Tom, and Shane get hit up about anywhere from an important project to a pet project, whatever it might be, that we should be doing, or somebody wants to pave the road back to a subdivision, or this is gravel and it's ridiculous and you guys need to pave it. The 5th year, before I even get into it, let me give you just the quick numbers. If you start looking across 2024, 6 point whatever million dollars worth of work, 2025, $9 million worth of work. It's on the very last page of your packet, almost $10 million. 2026, little over $1 million, so clearly that year we're saving some money because we spent it all the year before. 2027, which is out there a ways, 2.8, almost $3 million. 2028, $28 million of work in 2028. Do you think we can afford $28 million of work in 2028?
Sure you can, Brian.
Yeah, sure we can. So where I'm going with this is that if you do nothing else with this program other than sit on the corner of your desk, and then somebody just keeps pelting you with, why don't we do this, why don't we do that? And you start to feel your resolve slip. Maybe it wouldn't be that big of a deal to go seal coat that mile of Dodgeville Road. Seems like an idea. Look at this last year program and ask yourself, what of these things would we not do that we already can't afford? You know, because Pleasant Grove Road, we've talked about Pleasant Grove Road, and you've been on Pleasant Grove Road, you know it's not the smoothest road in the world. You know, and this is only really in there for the east mileage. We already had to do a piece on the west piece. All of Pleasant Grove Road really needs to be addressed whenever we can afford it. Beaverdale Road, I just talked about it, how it's a funnel down to the ethanol plant, and it's all those curb and gutter roads all got built in about the same time frame. They were all right from the very end of the 70s into the very beginning of the 80s. So when you drive a curb and gutter road in Des Moines County, they're all about the same age. And we've had to replace a fair chunk of them already. Now some of them are holding up better than others, but that age catches up no matter what you do at some point. So I've always said our systems, I don't care what you say, if you're in transportation, you're falling behind. You can feel good about what you do, and you should feel good about what you do, hopefully, if you're doing it right. But if you don't think you're falling behind, you better wake up, because it's the truth. You can't keep up with your system. So, you know, you got Beaverdale Road sitting there. Then you got Bridgeport, another curb and gutter road. We're doing the worst of it right now for 1.6. There's another 1.7 miles. We're only doing 0.8 miles for $1.4 million right now.
Yep.
So if you want to do that math and take it times 2, you know, and that's probably not what I have in here, but the point being is there's another curb and gutter road coming due at some point, probably before we can afford it, because we can't afford all this. And then you jump into a bridge on Golden Road, F10. Actually, that's a bridge that is a fairly high priority for me for where it's at, and it's on a gravel road. And I'll run you through that sometime too. Next one, another a bridge deck on, so I mentioned the north 2 bridges on Beaverdale Road. We're gonna do deck patching this year on this bridge on Beaverdale, but at some point there's a 3rd bridge on Beaverdale that actually is on the paved portion of it, and it is not a new bridge. So I guess where I'm going with this is, you know, I can keep on going. There's some twin culverts down on the street.
I can do this all day, friends.
There's another bridge that we have.
Just keep on going.
On a dirt road, yeah. There's so before I keep going with that, my point is that you guys all get dinged. No different than I get dinged. In fact, half the time what happens is they call me. They're not happy with what I have to say, so they call you. That, you know, I don't ever want a board member to forget that there are other parts of the system, because people can be really persistent. When Randy Weingard calls and wants 60th paved out to a subdivision, or when the folks on whatever road it is they can be very persistent.
He kind of backed off of that when he found out it was gonna cost him some money.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we weren't willing to just seal coat it, and we're consistent, and we've been consistent. We need to keep that up. It is absolutely in the best interest for the taxpayers.
I was watching last night's Burlington Council meeting. They had, I don't know how many man-hours in this Madison project. And dude, that's about to go under because some citizens showed up at the last minute hour complaining, which I don't go for. But anyways, they allowed it this time apparently, but.
Well,
Yeah. And that's one thing, dude, after, I stand firm on that. After we've gone through readings and gone through all of that and spent taxpayers' money talking about stuff, I don't believe in midnight hour changes, dude. I don't. I mean, not unless it's smacking you in the face that it was just the wrong decision, but everybody's got time to come in and lay it out.
I think there's always time to listen, and there's always stuff that pops up. A lot of what I'm talking about is stuff that is a priority to one or two people or to a subdivision, but not a priority to the taxpayers, you know, and you kind of live with the whole, you build on a gravel road, it was a gravel road then, and it's a gravel road now, and you might die with it a gravel road. And that's just kind of a reality. It just takes people longer they don't ever accept it if they're that unhappy, but.
I still don't understand that, how somebody purposely moves out into the country and expects to have, and not have to deal with any gravel.
Yeah, I just got chewed on somewhere else because of a road between point A and point B being gravel and to a paved road and their taxes, and I said, well, your taxes paid for that paved road you're driving on too, and trust me, you didn't pay enough to pave it. So part of your system you're driving on is paved. You're just not looking at it that way because it's not in front of your house. The last three I do want to mention because they're a little bit different as far as their project numbers. The bottom of page 14 you'll see at the beginning of the project number, it's an ILL, which stands for illustrative. The DOT has come up with, I think this has been around for a while, I just don't think I ever used it or really knew what it was about. Illustrative projects, and the last three are all illustrative, are projects that you show them. I think illustrative, the best way I can summarize it is, you are fully acknowledging that it's kind of it's an important project, but you truly don't have the money for it. It's kind of how I would summarize it. So where I'm going with that is there's a lot of these grants that everybody wants to talk about grants right now, especially with the highway program that they put out. And you guys are aware that the counties are organized and that we are evaluating, and I think right now county-wise we have at least 2 or 3 groups of grants out there in application process. Des Moines County doesn't have a bridge in those because we didn't rate high enough in what we submitted, which is the way it goes, and that's all right. You knock the worst ones off the list, and hopefully you climb the list. That's the nature of it. But this one is important. It's a bridge. It is the Big Ditch Bridge. We drove across it on our project tour.
Bowstring trusses.
Yep. And it's important to the folks down in the bottoms because it is a bottleneck to them being able to run their agriculture equipment through there. And so I don't know when and if we'll be able, in fact, we discussed this bridge this morning because we're working on the permitting process for it. But it's not a cheap bridge, it's on our radar, and maybe we'll be able to get some grant money, maybe we won't, but we'll keep trying at it. So it's in here as an illustrative project so that we can show it's a priority, but we can also hopefully demonstrate that we truly need the funding for it. So that's, in the $2 million that's in there, I haven't put time into that, that's just a placeholder. So I want to mention that. That bridge is posted, I would also note, and the only reason that bridge is posted is yet again because of the 7-axle dump truck that we had to rate for. Next page, a couple of the paved roads that we have in here as illustrative projects. Highway 79. Highway 79 is probably a good example of an asphalt road that's probably going to need an asphalt overlay and we can't afford it. I submitted it for one of those federal grant processes. We didn't rate high enough to get it, and that's not a surprise to me at all. Remember, a lot of the new federal grant stuff has to do with diversity, and I mean that's actual written in criteria, diversity and economic hardship areas, and there's some other stuff.
Black diversity and stuff.
And it's one of the reasons that the counties in general, the county engineers in general, have put this group together and are trying to go together, because there's not many that any one of us individually meet the criteria fully. So we could put a group together that as a whole meet the criteria. It shows working together to the federal level, which they do like to see. But maybe you know, Wise County does around Oakville. They have a low income impact area or something like that. I think Burlington might have a small area. Des Moines County itself does not have an area as far as rural. I guess what I'm going at is that's why you're seeing the approach that we're using, because it would be nearly impossible for Des Moines County to come in and ever succeed in any of those grants by ourselves.
Take a picture of that place that Tom and I hit you up on.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I don't know if that'll get us anywhere, but we'll try it. So 79, what I put in for was an asphalt overlay and paved shoulders. I don't know that, it's not gonna happen, at least in that go around. The last one I wanna mention is Mediapolis Road widening, shoulder widening and paved shoulders. That is linked specific to one situation. Ironically, I had a call about this yesterday. Somebody already asking for signs. I've mentioned to you on our tour, the Amish are actively moving into Amish midnight. I don't want to offend anybody, because I don't know exactly what their true definition is, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But they've bought a significant amount of acreage northeast of Mediapolis. And the rumor has it they're looking for more. I don't know if that's true or not, but they have enough acreage right now to have a pretty substantial group there. I assume that they will eventually start moving around in horse and buggies. I haven't seen that yet. They're on site now already to some extent. I know that they've already worked with some locals. I heard through the grapevine that one local gentleman has already bought a van to haul them around in, and some stuff like that. I had another local call yesterday asking if we were prepared to put up signs when they start going around in the horse and buggy, that kind of a thing. So I threw an illustrative project in for the possibility of widening and paving those shoulders. I don't know if using the Amish as a reason is gonna gain us points in a scoring system when you're competing against New York City and somewhere else or not. I don't have any idea.
I'd throw them in there though.
But it's in there, and that's why it's in there. And I want to, you guys are aware, but I want to say it publicly.
Well, go ahead, Tom.
I was gonna say and that's asphalt, but are the shoulders concrete? You mentioned the steel wheels
I
and the
think
asphalt.
if we were gonna do it, we'd probably put them in as concrete.
Okay.
I think we would.
I brought this coffee shop, you know, and somebody asked me, since we took our tour up there, have you heard anything about Amish moving in? I said, yeah. I said, they're already moved in up there. And they said they knew it. And the first thing come out of Larry's mouth was, what are you gonna do about the steel wheels running on your blacktop? I said, well, I don't know, that's a problem that we've been talking about. He said, do like Iowa City up there does, they've got a resolution where you can't run anything on their blacktop roads, it's gotta have rubber on it. And they're getting by with it, so.
Yeah.
And there's a place up in Kelowna or someplace that puts rubber on them steel wheels for them.
I'm surprised that they haven't made
Yeah.
that move to rubber. I mean,
So
it's not
that's
putting rubber
something-
on your steel wheels isn't watching TV.
That's something we need to check into. If
Yeah, I
somebody-
mean, we can, yeah, and I can check, I can send out a thing. I haven't spent much time on it, you already know that, and I can check with other counties and see if any other counties have had anything creative. I will tell you, most counties have just learned to live with it. They do bring some economic benefit as far as what the services they sell and the services they provide, and I'm sure there's some balance to that in some other counties. I can reach out and just kind of get a feel for if any other counties are doing anything like that, just to give us a cross-section. I had not heard that about Iowa City, so that's kind of interesting.
Well, that's all I know is what.
Yeah,
I wouldn't. How coffee shop.
Well, but I wouldn't claim it's wrong, because I certainly don't know.
All I've ever seen was the lanes for them. I've been in places where they've got lanes for them.
Well, if you go across 92.
Man, they got a whole lot of money to make the lanes for,
But
Yeah.
the thing of it is, they're gonna be coming out at very, very dangerous. There needs to be something there that they can turn on.
Yep. Yep.
Somebody's gonna get killed.
Acceleration
right
lane for horse
Huh?
and buggy, possibly an acceleration shoulder
Yeah.
for, yeah, and that's, again, and there's some other grant possibilities that we might be able to that are smaller in scale for something more like small like that than big scale, because like I said, I don't have the money sitting around to just go put shoulders on and pave it just because they showed up. I don't mean that bad, but that's just not what we have floating around. So maybe we do something on the interim like that we go apply for a smaller grant to just put an acceleration lane for horse and buggies in or something like that.
Just to get them up where
So-
people can see, 'cause they're gonna be down that dip.
Yeah, which I'm gonna send the surveyor up and find out what that actual site distance is and stuff like that, and I've already discussed that with him actually, so, I mean, we're not necessarily fully ahead of the curve, but we're a little ahead of the curve right at the moment, putting up signs, something we will look at, that kind of a thing. But also, I wanna see how they truly get around, how much are they really out? Are they going to actually be out on the roads, the paved roads and horse and buggy, or how are they gonna actually function? Because I think all these groups function a little different, and I wouldn't claim to know exactly how they're gonna function, so.
is there any building going on yet that you know of? Any construction? going on for
No,
housing
I've
or
heard that they're planning on it, but I have not seen anything.
Well, they're evidently gonna raise a bunch of cattle, or they wouldn't have all them, baby calves.
Well, I think they strive to be self-sufficient to a certain
Yeah.
extent, and a lot of times they end up with a little kind of a roadside sales place where they'll sell their products too. I mean, that's not uncommon. So what this version will be and what our version will be, I really don't know. I'll probably learn along the way with everybody else. It is certainly a topic, and I want to bring it up. So, and we'll just kind of adjust on the fly, like we would with anything else.
Tell you what, I've met a lot of Amish people, they're awful nice people.
Yep. Yep, I would agree with that.
Just like them, we wouldn't
I-
have all this problem.
I've had a couple people say, I sure hope they open a bakery.
Amen to that.
So,
They have some of the best woodworking in the world, I tell you what.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A buddy of mine up in Mount Pleasant, they just built a house a couple of years ago, and he had a bunch of, he hired some Amish to do a bunch of cabinets and stuff.
Like craftsmen, man.
Wow.
my dining room table was made by the Amish, and it'll goes up to like 18 foot long. It's all adjustable and everything else, and got leaves for it and everything else, so, yeah, I mean, obviously, they're coming into the community, and they're gonna be a part of the community either way, and we'll just, along the way, have these discussions and figure things out. So, that is a quick run through on my program. I will mention, it's a little back-assward, but I'm doing it anyway. So, the budget side of it, you guys are gonna approve a budgeted program. I'm not gonna go through the budget side of it. Most of it is identical to what you have. It rarely matches exactly. In fact, I'm not sure it ever has matched exactly. It is just a document that we approve that runs through the DOT, the county's budget. This year, normally, the county's budget's been approved, but when they extended the deadlines for the county budget, they didn't extend the line for this budget. I will tell you, there are some counties that are just thumbing their nose at the current deadlines and saying, we're not gonna approve this version in the program until we do our county budget. I'm just gonna run it all through in today's board meeting and be done with it and go from there, and I just thought I'd let you know that. So I'm not going through the budget because we've done budget, and let's face it, it'll all change in a month or two at some point when something happens anyway. So that is everything, and when you approve it all, you can do what you wish on the paper copies that you're gonna sign, because what I'll do is I'll go take a copy of it back to Becky, and she'll just push the buttons, because you called in and she, as Shane Campbell, will electronically sign it, and she, as Brian Carter, will electronically sign it. And then it'll all get digitally submitted, so. That's it.
I move to approve the.
We
Hold
gotta
on.
go out of the
Hold on.
public hearing.
You gotta
We
probably
are
take a
public
couple
hearing,
minutes
aren't
to give people.
I'll move to go out of public hearing.
We gotta give people a couple minutes.
Ah.
Before we go out, okay. Yeah, we've got the phone lines open. You can, we encourage you to call us at 319-753-8203 extension 4. Or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. That number again is 319-753-8203 extension 4. And Sarah Marie, have you received any written objections?
I have not received any written objections.
Did Lori have a question? I see there was something about a message.
She put something on there and then she deleted it, so I'm not sure what she.
I sent Lori a quick summary, but it only covered the first couple years, or actually even a part of the second year. So Lori, if you have something, you know how to get a hold of me. I know you've got a deadline today at 11, but
We still have a minute and a half. If you wanna type quick, we'll wait on you.
we're cutting you off.
Said you get.
What is that? Oh, you got one of the fancy phones. What is that? What kind of phone is that?
Black one.
This guy, man. He's a gem, man.
It's an Apple.
Yeah, it's one of those fancy ones. I don't have any of that fancy.
Do you have a stopwatch on yours too?
I wouldn't have.
Not
You
like
just
that.
don't- You
Not
just don't
like-
know how to run it.
Well, that's true too. But if I was to see it, it wouldn't look like that. I can assure you that.
I'm gonna say it probably
I
would.
didn't know there were
Tell
different
you
ways.
what,
I'll have to
I
look.
like my Samsung better, but my wife wants Apple.
See, I like my Samsung better just because I'm used to it.
So
I
we
can't-
could FaceTime, you know, when we talk.
Oh, yeah. It's only kids that got
My wife doesn't want to talk to me, so we're good that way.
it. She's a smart
I
girl.
had Samsung.
I'm comfortable with it.
You know we're still lying, right? I just wanted you to-
I'm good. Trust me, I'm good. I won't say anything to you that I wouldn't say to her.
I had a flip phone, I loved that flip phone, because I could pull it out of my pocket, take my thumb, and I could flip it open.
Kirk out.
And we was on our honeymoon over in Hawaii. Got a phone call, and I picked it out, and I went like that, and the top of it slid across the pavement.
Does she finally give up?
So
on
it truly flipped.
It flipped.
It flipped for real.
I think they have current flip phones, smartphones that are flip phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen those. Yeah, and they're like, some of them are like that big.
Yeah, I
They open up.
don't know why you want that big of a phone, so.
Where we at on time, Jimmy?
8, 7, 6, don't be close, it'll let you know.
All right.
There we go.
Okay. That's 2 minutes, and again,
Motion to close public hearing.
Second,
moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes. Can I get a motion to approve the 2024 IDOT secondary roads budget and the 5-year construction program plan?
So moved.
Second,
Moved in second, Sarah Marie.
Tom Broker,
Yes.
Jim Carrey,
yes.
Shane McCampbell.
Yes.
Thank you. Thanks to Colin for the graphics.
I have an idea how much work goes in here, so thank you, and thank Becky, and thank your staff.
I will pass it on.
From the board.
They make it happen to actually get it done in the field, so it doesn't happen. So it's kinda like the parking lot down here. Devin gets a lot of credit for that, so. And he came down and did the concrete testing yesterday also.
They aren't done yet, so you get to blame yet.
I stand by.
Not yet, but soon.
Yes.
I blame him for
Tom had
everything
approved
too.
on- Oh, I'm sorry. Shit.
He'll be back down tomorrow, I think, and do some more testing from the south of it. Sounds like they'll pave the rest of that lower parking lot tomorrow.
That's what Rodney said. They don't lose today.
Still time to wait to get their signature for concrete.
I made the mistake once of putting my foot where I shouldn't have put my foot out here, the gypsum plant someplace.
Yeah. That same crew, as soon as they got done with this, if you'd like to talk about a full day, Monday, they were finishing this pour and they were double timing it to Mount Pleasant and they were gonna pour main line in Mount Pleasant and the owner of the company told Devin, he's like, I hope we're done by 6, but it could be 8 or 9 o'clock
Initials
tonight.
were good.
So they had a full day of concrete that day.
Yeah, concrete. So, thank you. Okay. We appreciate everybody hanging with us. I know that Brian probably retired a few of them.
Yeah, I thank all of you guys for staying around. Appreciate it.
Do we have any other business, gentlemen?
I got one thing I do want to say.
Yeah.
Last week I reported about juvenile detention. If the numbers stay the same as what they are right now, it's gonna cost us, up to this date, $22,500 more. And projecting for the end of the year, it's gonna cost $41,000 more. And that's just above that 200,000 that we put in. So we're looking at almost $250,000 more for juvenile detention next year.
You said it was 41,000 by the end of the year?
If the numbers keep projecting what we've had in the next 4 months, what we had the previous years,
If the trend stays.
if the trend stays.
Yeah, crime's expensive, man. It's just hard on everything. Goodness gracious. Thanks for the heads up on that.
But right now, and that's at the 185,000, which would have been 22,000, or, let's see, it would have been, that would have put you up to $22,500 more had we been paying that 85, but now with the projections of what we had the previous 2 years in the last 5 months, bring it up about $41,000.
Always
I see
everything.
Tom's ears got red when I said that. That's all, I just wanted to bring that up to you, because I didn't have the good numbers, you know,
I appreciate that. I guess. I said thank you, I guess. Any other business? Future agenda items. Committee reports.
I had none.
I have one, and I forgot to bring my notes. I don't even know what the board was off the top of my head, but anyways, I was there. Public input. Now's the time that we'll take your public input if you have something you want to share or say or get off your chest. We're gonna give you 2 minutes. You can call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. Again, you can call in at 319-753-8203 extension 4, or you can email us at board@dmcounty.com. For those that don't like to use the phone, you can always stop at Tom's house. He really loves that.
I'm not coming to get it, dear.
I think we might set a record for 2-minute waiting intervals today.
You think so?
This one here, Mike?
Are you
Well,
wanting to
I-
move your work tour till next week? Or-
Yeah, I would just move it back.
Okay,
Even with
and then
just
we'll
the
work
weather.
on that resolution for next week also.
Yep, I'll take a look at it.
Okay.
James, you got anything you want to share?
Oh, saw a text, and he was wondering he evidently lost his, I don't know
It
what
was
he
good.
said. Anyway, he wanted help us for. So, I wanted to make sure I had the right list for the, essential purpose funds.
Okay.
Thomas, anything you want to, anything you want to say in closing?
No, I'm good.
Colin? Chainsaw?
I wish they'd do something about the parking down here by Memorial Auditorium, I'll say that.
Yeah.
It's getting worse and worse, but
Yeah.
came down here with my youngest daughter for the father-daughter dance there last week. And, yeah, parking down here by the auditorium, just
terrible.
an absolute nightmare.
Where'd you finally get?
The sheriff's parking lot.
Did you?
And walked over.
I wish they put the flag back up on fort down there when we say pledge allegiance. I used to look at them, they'd flutter, you know, and now they.
I think they're still putting a flagpole up somewhere, I don't know, but I think they're gonna wait until they're done, but I thought a pole was supposed to be going back up there, or going down there, okay. Well, that's the end of the 2 minutes, again, we appreciate everybody. I'm Shane McCampbell, this gentleman to my left is Thomas Broker, this gentleman to my right is James Carey, we're your supervisors, and we appreciate you. With an aye, we're adjourned.
Aye.
Thank you.
I thought there was supposed to be a trial today and all the parking was supposed to be jam-packed.
Yeah,
That's what,
they must have pushed it back or something, cause there's nobody down here.
Yeah, I was
Yeah, 'cause
expecting
they
a
had like
parking
100
lot
jurors or
away.
something they're supposed to be
Yeah.
going through or something like that.